was some treasure that he had found.
Wow.
And I thought that was very nice. I don't know what to say. And then I immediately told him, like, yeah, I don't know why you said that.
You're okay.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, you're okay.
Well, I think he said that because he wants to then take credit when your podcast goes crazy. He can be like, man, look at this dude.
I told you he was a hidden gem.
I told you. And then you owe him.
Yeah, no. He's like, remember that podcast that we did together?
All right, in my count, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So what I wanted to say is that you can start however you want. You can do whatever you want. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
We'll cut it. We'll do whatever we need to. But just be yourself. Do whatever comes to your mind. So, hey guys, this is First Talk Podcast with Wilson. I'm here with my good friend DK Reinermer, actor, writer, comedian. He's toured one-man shows, improv festivals, fringe festivals across the country. Performer of the year last year at Halloween Horror Nights. And my favorite thing about him, he's also a Jiu Jitsu martial artist practitioner. We've had many roles, and we usually, we go back and forth. He wins sometimes, I win sometimes. And so we've learned a lot about each other and just hanging out and talking. And I found out that he does comedy. And that's one of the things I love about Jiu Jitsu is that you do Jiu Jitsu with all kinds of people. You never know who you're going to meet. And I happen to have found a good friend who happens to be a hilarious person and does it for a living. So I figured, why not bring him on the podcast and we can talk about comedy, martial arts, his art, things that he's done, and so yeah. So I hope you guys enjoy the podcast. So.
I like that you said I win some.
Yeah,
when my role. I don't think that's.
But
maybe
you
it was. No, I don't.
No, you do. You either you've won or you've stalemated me.
Yeah. See, I see that as a win. If I can stop someone from tapping me out.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes.
And now I see it that way. Before I didn't see it that way.
Yeah.
Before I thought if I'm not winning, I'm losing. Kind of Bobby. What is it?
Bobby Fischer.
No, from Talladega Nights. If you're not first, if you're not first, you're last.
Little baby Jesus.
Baby Jesus. If you're not first, you're last. I used to think about it that way, but that's how I got injured and things like that. So
yeah.
But now I've learned how to breathe.
Yeah, breathing's important.
I've learned how to
not just
sacrifice
jiu-jitsu. It's important in life. You gotta breathe.
You got. If you're not breathing,
these are keys to life, folks.
Yeah. But I've learned how to control my breath. I've learned how to remain calm under stressful situations.
Yeah.
I've learned how to problem solve in real time. Which in a real fight is hard to do.
Yeah. You've been in a real fight?
I have.
Yeah.
In fact, that's how I got into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Long story long, I was playing basketball many years ago. I think it was 2016, something like that. I was playing I used to like to go out there because I thought it was like big shit in basketball, and that kind of was. That was good. I was really good.
Slam dunk.
Yeah, no, not slam dunking people, but I could shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would go and find random basketball courts where I would see people playing, and I would bring my ball,
nice.
And I'd be like, "Okay, I challenge
I challenge you."
Yeah,
really?
Yes, I would do that, and and I've learned many lessons from that and what not to do in a lot of instances. Well, in this case, this kid kept.
Would
fouling
you bet?
me.
Would you try to make money?
Try to
was this a shark situation? $20 says I can make this 3.
No.
Wasn't that was
I didn't have that
White
much
Man Can't
confidence.
Jump?
Right.
Wesley Snipes shows up.
Right. No, I didn't have that much confidence. I just knew that I could shoot, so I wanted a challenge.
Yeah.
Which actually is another thing about me. I'm really always up for a good challenge, Right. So I saw these people playing. I was like, all right, can I join in? They're like, sure. So we're playing, and this kid keeps fouling me.
Yeah.
And I'm letting it go because I'm not about to start a fight or anything. But the last foul that he did.
Little did you know, you are.
Little did he know.
Oh, hello, kid.
Hey, come here, buddy. He pushed me really hard, and something came over me, like a switch in my head, and I grabbed him by the chest, and I didn't mean to do this, but I pushed him down to the ground, and with it came his entire shirt, like a movie, like
ripped right off.
yeah, ripped the entire front part of
Wow.
the shirt right off of him, and he fell to the ground, and then
Yeah.
he stood up, and I'm like, and he's like, I'm gonna fuck you up, and I'm like, all right, I guess we're gonna fuck each other up here, right? So then we're about to go, and right as I'm gonna swing, his buddy, which I didn't know he had friends there, I should have assumed that.
You showed up to a pickup game.
Yeah,
He's
and
like, I want you.
right, and this guy grabs me from behind like this,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I'm like this, right? And this guy comes.
Not
and
a
just
great
starts-
position to be in when you're in a fight.
when you're about to fight,
You're
right?
like, oh no.
Right. Well, and I couldn't move.
Yeah.
Because the guy was bigger than me and stronger, so I can't move.
Yeah.
And the other guy comes and starts wailing on me. Boom, boom, right, punching me in the face and everywhere.
Brutal.
Yes, it was brutal. No, this is something else. And then I somehow managed to like finagle to get out of it, and then I'm like, and so they're coming at me. They're like, we're gonna fuck you up, and I'm like, all right. In my head, I'm still thinking I'm up for a challenge.
You're like, but I can shoot threes.
Right. So I say to them like, all right.
Mm.
As I'm walking away and they're coming at me, I'm like, listen. I will fight you guys one at a time. As if there's rules to that, you know? Like, I'll take you guys on one at a time.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm gonna fuck you up. And they're coming at me, and I just ran away.
Yeah.
And essentially ran straight to a Gracie.
Right
Walmart
into
Jiu-Jitsu.
yeah.
parked in
behind
like
them. I need training.
Yeah.
Teach me. You still have the guy's shirt? Did you like
Yeah.
rip it off? That's what you tie around your, as a bandana to just get revenge. This is your montage, your origin story. It's still bloody.
No,
That's
I
beautiful.
left it there
Yeah.
at the basketball court. But I did go the next
This
day.
was in Orlando?
Yeah, this was in
Wow.
Orlando. Orlando streets are dangerous.
Is this like you're going to train up, get a couple years in jiu-jitsu, and then like
Try to find your people.
just go find those guys?
Yeah, just bring
Hey,
a basketball,
remember me?
but then challenge them to a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
just throw it in their face and start fighting. No, I would never do that.
Yeah. I think you will. I got into a fight. It was like in middle school before, if you showed up early, the gym had like dodgeball going or something just to like keep the kids, occupied until school started. So this is like 7:30 in
The teachers
morning.
called it the pit.
Yeah, they call it the pit.
Throw them in there.
But it was, probably 50, 60 kids running around, and they have dodgeballs and,
yeah, that's cool.
and,
Were you a good dodgeball?
I was pretty good, yeah, because I played baseball, so I had like a good
Oh.
arm, and then I was like,
Yeah,
I could dodge
You had some
stuff.
moves, yeah.
I had some moves. I don't even remember. This kid and I had like not been getting along on the bus. We rode the same bus, and I'd kind of fuck with him, he'd fuck with me, but it never led to anything. And then in the dodgeball, I think like I got him out and he wouldn't go out, and then he started, it was the dumbest thing, and then he came over and like pushed me and I don't know what came over me. I'm in middle school. I
You're
just
like, yeah, raving for this.
I literally just popped him in the nose, and that ended the whole thing.
That's great. That's a
yeah,
way better
I kind of like
fight story than mine.
I don't even remember it, and it didn't hurt my hand at all.
Yeah, you became a superhero.
Nothing happened. I just went through the rest of my day, and I kind of was like, I should probably get in trouble for that. Fifth period, I'm in PE.
Yeah.
Finally, someone is like, "Hey, did you go to the office for that?" Like a teacher comes running out.
Like they saw
I'm
it
like,
and they knew that it
"What?"
was not like.
I think there just was some communication missed, and it never got. And I was like,
Yeah.
I almost got home, and I think I got 13 lunch detentions for that.
Wow, what is a lunch detention?
During lunch, you have to go and basically go hang out in a classroom with all the other troublemakers. For
And you
lunch.
eat your food there
Yeah,
with the troublemaker.
with the troublemaker. And a
That
teacher
doesn't
like,
sound like
but
a good thing. I would think that starts like a whole
oh,
posse.
Yeah, right. That's where
Yeah.
we communicate. We're like, you like to cause trouble?
Yeah,
Me too.
Me too. Let's go do it.
Let's,
There's this kid I just want to
Yeah.
yeah.
No, and but it was weird that how they got to 13 lunch detentions was like
They
like
just
that, not
randomly-
12.
Right.
That's not enough.
Not one.
We got to give him 13.
Right.
I don't know.
So was there blood? Was there?
I think so.
Yeah. Did he say
Yeah.
anything? Did he cry? Did he like?
I believe
What's
it was pretty painful. Leaf. I think his name was Leaf.
His name was Leaf.
Leaf.
Wow. Of
Yeah.
course, he deserved a punch to the face.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I don't
It was.
know. Yeah.
He was waiting for it.
No,
He knew that was coming.
Well, Leaf, I apologize if you watched the pod. I was young and dumb. We all were.
Right.
So
Dodgeball
I should
can
not
get-
have hit you in the face over
Dodgeball can get pretty
dodgeball.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so
So that's why I started training jiu-jitsu.
I was about to say.
That's why I
what's
didn't
your
start training. I'm
priorities?
like, I got this. I don't need training.
I never got away with fights in my school for some reason. Like they were immediately on me. They're like, "Oh yeah, well, like even if I didn't do it, they were like, it was probably Wilson." That was that kid.
Oh, you were there. Yeah, really.
I was a troublemaker in
Really?
middle school. Yeah. Yeah.
Was it a big school? Like,
Relatively speaking, it was just that the school just had lunch for everybody at the same exact time.
oh, right.
And it was
Sometimes
a
they
big,
split it.
yeah. And so they it was just a giant school. So all the kids are everywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't know how any
and
of
like
us
first
survived.
graders are having
Yeah.
lunch.
Yeah.
You know, and 12th
That's-
grade. So
yep.
it's like all mixed in. It's weird. You know,
Yeah.
this
You got
was in
kids
Puerto Rico.
smoking.
Right.
The same lot. Where
Right.
first
And then you
graders are
got
like playing ant,
yeah, on the ground,
Yeah.
like finding ants. You know, so
Love that game. Finding ants.
finding ants. Hey, look at this ant. Where does it go?
Look, we did that with crabs actually on the beach
Oh yeah.
in Washington. Like there'd be rocks and you'd pull a big old rock back and there'd be hundreds of crabs. And they'd all scatter and run.
And you'd follow one.
Yeah, you try and find the biggest ones, and then we put them in pits to make them fight. Crabs. I'm sorry. I just want to apologize for any of the fighting.
I was young.
I was like, yeah, I was young. I
My
was
dodgeball
stupid. I
days.
didn't know. They pinched the shit out of me, but
yeah.
I deserved it. I was putting them in little holes that we dug to like fight. Yeah, kids are terrible.
Yeah, kids are terrible, aren't they?
They're crazy.
So okay, so talking about fighting, I guess we can jump into comedy, but I just want to touch on some martial arts stuff.
Yeah.
So what made you get into jiu-jitsu? Like, or if you want, we can start with
Yeah.
comedy. I just
No,
either way,
let's follow this thread. I mean, I've always been fascinated with martial arts and raised up watching, action movies.
ever since Leaf and something.
Ever
came
since
over you.
Leaf. No, but watching like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jean-Claude Van Damme I loved all those movies and I loved the idea of being like badass, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah.
I read a lot of comic books growing up and just had a wild imagination. So superheroes and being unbeatable was kind of something I was always fascinated with. But I also, as I grew up, did like yoga and I and played soccer, so I was very physical.
Yeah.
And Tai Chi, like I love the idea of sort of sharpening the body in a way. But I never took martial arts. I never kind of followed through with it beyond just my own sort of stuff. I did a workshop, like a weekend workshop or of a karate demonstration. Basically, it was just he wanted to get people to sign up for his gym, so
Yeah.
we did this free thing. And I was like, "Oh, this is rad," but I didn't sign up. And then I took when I went to college, I did take a PE credit that was like self-defense jiu-jitsu. So there was some throwing, but I didn't really know anything. And they weren't teaching the stuff we're doing now. It was more just how to like keep your distance, and then there was some throws. Like if someone was coming at you, you would kind of roll them to the side and throw. So a little bit of
judo.
yeah. And I loved it. I just never went back to it. And so I always toyed with the idea. And then when I moved to Orlando, I was looking for a gym to just work out, as one does. And Gracie Baja popped up, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And I was like 3 blocks away. It was where I was living. So I was like, "Oh man, jiu-jitsu. Oh, maybe I'll go check that out." So I just jogged over there, met Law, and he's like, you know how intense he is. He's just like, "Hey man, you want to sign up?" Right there. Gave me the tour. Dude,
How you doing?
he sold me real quick because I just watched a little bit, and then I came back later that day and did the free like the free class, and I was like, holy shit, I'm hooked. It scared the crap out of me. Like,
really, it scared you?
Just because, I mean, yeah, it was intense. You know,
Were you intimidated by that?
Intimidated by
the place, the people,
just all of it. Really, like I not terribly, but it was certainly one of those. I'm out of my element a lot in this situation. Yeah.
Right.
I haven't been around a ton of violence, like beyond just wrestling and shit. But it also felt very much at home because I have an older brother, and he and I would like wrestle like crazy growing up. He's 4 years older than me, so I was essentially just protecting myself for all of my youth, right? And so I think I have a lot of instinct that's really good for jiu-jitsu because my brother beat the shit out of me growing up. But no, I think just the general structure of things, like getting choked out, just all of it was very foreign, and but that made me know that I have to do this now because it's a challenge, because it's pushed me out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it. Yeah.
Well, man, we can unpack all of what you said.
Yeah.
Because there's so much there. First of all, you jogged over. You found it, and then you ran to the place.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just imagine.
I run. I run a lot.
Like running?
Yeah, I run a lot. So I was just
it's
just a couple blocks away. I'll go for a run. And I'll swing
If
through.
I don't like it, I'll run back.
I'll run away.
Yeah, I'll run away.
Yeah.
So I just picture you kind of just like run. It's like, I'm gonna go check this gym out.
I wanted to show up sweaty and like, hey, look, I work out too.
Right, I got what it takes.
He's like, I don't give a shit. Man.
Yeah.
Sign up or don't.
Yeah.
Get your
and then you open the door and Lawrence is there.
Yeah.
And you're like,
hey man.
Hey. And Lawrence is like, hey, you want to do this or not?
Yeah. Essentially.
Yeah. And you're like, okay.
Because he's like, it doesn't mess. He doesn't,
he has his black belt already.
Yeah, he's already. Hey man, this is the best thing you'll ever do. Do it or not, I don't care.
Right, doesn't matter.
Okay,
it'll change your life, but just putting it out there.
And you're throwing in a free gi. Sweet.
Yeah. Okay. And then you do the class.
Yeah.
And then immediately you're like, this is different.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
I'm intimidated, but you know what? Sign me up, and let's see if I can do this for real.
No, I really liked it. I really liked that it scared me. I liked that it put me out of my comfort zone.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember what we were doing that day. I wish I could, because I think it was like, it might have been working from the back. Yeah, like chokes from the back. Which is like, that's a pretty brutal day. Like those days are...
That's a brutal day. And chances are you might find yourself in a situation like that in a real fight.
Yeah.
So it's like, it must have been like really like...
No, it triggers... It, when you're... Even in those simulated experiences, when you have someone who's your size or bigger or even smaller, and they have you in a compromising... Like, you cannot breathe. Yeah, that triggers some shit.
That triggers
some like visceral childhood trauma comes out. Like, oh God, I should work on this stuff.
I have gotten the same exact feelings, which is very interesting that I've also felt what you felt.
Yeah.
And when I first started training, I just wanted to defend. I wanted to learn how to defend myself, So
Same.
I was intimidated, but in a different way, in the sense that like I knew that if I started doing this, the likelihood of me sucking at it was very high because I just got punched in the face.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's a repeatable situation, right?
Yeah.
And even if I learn how to fight, chances are somebody else is also learning how to fight.
Yeah.
If I find somebody,
not statistically, right? Isn't it like under 1% of people?
But more so now than maybe 10 years ago, and
Totally.
maybe more now than definitely 50 years ago.
Leaf's probably like a black belt.
Because he punched him in the face. He's like, I gotta go to
He's
Gracie.
I shouldn't have mentioned it. Yeah.
He's like,
now I know where he is. Gracie Bar, Orlando, booked ticket. He starts training at the gym. Just mad dogging me the whole time.
You don't even know who he is, You don't recognize
Changes his
him.
name to like Scar.
He's on
or something.
steroids. He's just huge.
Oh
my God, that's really funny. Oh, well, so I thought this is definitely a repeatable event. I should probably practice. And I was intimidated that there were guys training that could beat me up at any point. You know what I mean? So I went from one traumatic incident to getting in a situation where that guy probably didn't know how to fight, but I'm going to a place where people actually do know how to fight.
Yeah.
And they're going to use any and all skills available that they've learned to try and submit me, you know? And so that was very intimidating at first. And I was like, oh boy, I'm basically getting in with the wolves, you know? Yeah. But at the same time.
But it's safe, right?
I was about
that's
to say,
what I felt like. I was like, okay, I feel safe. Like, I feel like Law runs a pretty, you know, he's not throwing people into situations where it's, you know, someone's going to get really hurt. I mean, although it does happen, and I've been kneed, I've been, you know, you're gonna get injured. That's part of it. But I felt protected. I felt that, okay, this is a safe environment, and then also learning like how I can advocate for myself by, you know, saying, hey, I've got this thing. Let's roll light, or let's not, you know, don't throw me. Like learning how to advocate for yourself in those situations is important too.
Yes, communication is very key in jiu-jitsu, and so we can maybe just break down a few things that maybe even correlate with comedy. Like, so I personally learned how to control my breath. Yeah, you know, really just like think, you know, and respond to things rather than react to things. In jiu-jitsu, you know, I learned how to just sometimes the best move is to not move at all.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Maybe in a sketch comedy, it's similar, you know, where like, you know, sometimes the best thing to say is nothing at all, you know?
Yeah.
And so I learned a lot of these little skills that if you add them up over a period of time, you start getting better and better and better at jiu-jitsu. And you don't even realize that all of these little things could help you win a fight, you know, in jiu-jitsu. And by the way, I just want to say, you're right. You might get injured a little bit in jiu-jitsu, but it's nothing where you're out and then you don't want to go back. It's more like
I'm pissed. The minute I like broke my pinky toe recently, and the minute it happened, the first thing I thought was like, damn it, this might keep me out of training for a little. It wasn't like, oh no, I'm not gonna be able to work, or ouch, my toe. It was literally like, damn it, now I'm gonna have to like maybe take a couple, you know, take some time off.
A couple years off.
2 years, I think. 2 years. A little pinky, that is, you think it doesn't hurt. It's painful.
It is painful, but that's a metaphor for life too, right? Think about it.
Yeah.
Any little thing that happens in people's lives, they think that it's bigger than it really is.
Yeah.
And that you should probably divert that energy now to do something. It's like, I can't go back to doing that thing because it hurts too much.
Yeah.
It was a pinky toe.
So, my girlfriend, I can't remember how it happened, but she like hit my knee with something on accident, like really hard.
Yeah.
And
like a hammer?
Yeah, like a hammer. We were fighting. No, like a plate, or we were on the couch. Anyway, like she smashed it, and I think before I'd started doing jiu-jitsu, it might have been like, fuck, that hurts. but now, and she felt really bad, and I just started laughing. I was like, you gotta come watch what they do to me. I was like, this is nothing. But it is a mindset, because I probably would have hurt
Can we stop here, guys? So?
Yeah, let's stop real quick.
Yeah.
Nothing good in there.
No!
Can I go back to one?
This one is rolling, but
Can you go back?
Start again. That was terrible.
Let's not fit the mirror.
From the top, boys. Maybe try and do funny stuff next time.
That was supposed to be a comedy guy? Please. Oh my God, that's so funny, dude. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You sure you want to more drinking? It's actually amazing. So first of all, taste this. So you
No, I'll just try. Yeah. I need 7 drinks. That's it.
It's just this is good. This is Irish.
No, I love it. I'm Irish German.
Oh, you're Irish German?
It's my heritage.
Oh my God.
But
All right.
What do you put it in? I don't know if I want to put it in my kombucha.
I put it in my. You want me to pour you one of these?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sure, perfect. Let's do that.
Okay. There's a lot. I don't want to miss, because I think we've got there sort of organically, is
a metaphor for life.
Well, I think my experience starting jiu-jitsu and the things like the things that make me uncomfortable or that did make me uncomfortable and like out of my element,
Yes.
but that challenged me and that I loved and made me want to do it more are similar to the things that challenged me and put me out of my element in improv, like learning improv.
Yeah, I figured.
And so that's a way I think we can.
Well, that's where I was going. I don't know.
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
noticed,
No, I
that's
think
where
we
was
were.
going.
I wasn't.
I think organically we were setting it
You already
up.
put some in
Yeah,
there?
yeah, put a little something in there. If you don't feel it, then let me know. I'll put a little more. But
Feel it?
you know, I know you're
Right.
Irish.
Yeah.
So
That's a good move.
yeah, good. Yeah.
Hey, Arnie, were you? I can't remember.
Star Wars. There was a game. Yeah, there was a Star Wars game that
Well, that was a character in Anakin Skywalker.
Anakin Skywalker. Yeah. That's right. That's right. I always do that. I don't know
He
why.
had the little wings.
The little wings. Yeah, little
Kind of
tiny
racist,
wings.
though, right? He's very
Was
like Jewish.
He was an
yeah,
alien.
yeah, but they
They
sort of.
try to.
Oh yeah.
Put it over.
I mean, he's got
the
a
top.
huge nose, and he's like,
And he's greedy. And,
I was like, really? This is.
yeah.
They had a Also, the Trade Federation was like the very Asian.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
surprising that they got away with it.
Well, I think it was because it was all aliens. You know,
Right,
as soon as
but
you
they're-
turn everything into aliens, it's
It
like,
could still be
it could be
racist.
alien.
Yeah,
It
you
could-
could still.
yeah, it's alien. It's racist and on in a different planet.
Are we still going, or what is it
He's
going on?
rolling here, but we're
Oh,
switching
okay.
out the memory card here
Oh, cool.
for this one. We had a different memory card, but for whatever reason, it just decided that it needed to be reformatted as you arrived.
Hey,
And for that
you're like,
reason,
oh, he's here. Let's reformat.
yeah,
We're gonna
we'll
need
have to
it.
reformat it. Is that what
That's good.
Did
Yeah.
you use that?
Yeah.
Good, right?
Mhm.
It's like little tiny.
I think I would drink Greyhounds a lot, which is this grapefruit juice and vodka.
Oh, I can't do vodka like that anymore.
Like that? How can you do it?
So I used to
The
date a
bud.
Polish girl.
Oh,
Yes, and let me tell you something about Polish people. They love their vodka,
yeah.
like Russians. You know, they love their vodka.
Love
So,
it.
so
So
this
she would
girl,
just drink it.
she would just drink it all the time, and
Yeah.
and I was like, all right. And I wasn't a big drinker or anything by any means, but I could put it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Back when I was younger, but then this girl, we went out to a bar, and she was just like, "You want a shot?" I was like, "Yeah, of course, let's do it." Yeah.
You're thinking
You're
whiskey.
asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking like something
Whiskey,
not
tequila.
vodka, anything else. Tequila is more in line with my heritage,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So then she's like, "All right, here we go." So then she does it. We do it. Perfect. Nothing. Another one? Like right after. Another one? Yeah. You know.
Was
Sure.
this good vodka though? Because
Well, we
I've
did.
gotten fucked up on bad vodka.
She did
and
10
that
shots.
is- wow. Oh god.
She did 10
What?
shots. I did 5 shots.
That's like
and by the time
$70, $80, $90 right there, right? I mean,
I don't remember how much it cost, but I guess to add salt to injury, yeah, that was.
that's like
it must have been very
a
expensive.
shot.
I don't remember how much I paid. for it.
$8 for a shot. I don't know.
Probably something like that.
I've
yeah.
gotten caught in those where you're like,
Maybe it was half off at the
whoops.
bar.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
yeah.
or she
that
knew
sounds-
somebody's like
Yeah.
300. It's like, well, there's half my rent that I just drank in an hour,
And I won't
and now
remember.
I'm fucked up.
And I don't remember. I won't remember.
I won't remember, and I
And
will
I paid
promise
this much.
all day.
And I
tomorrow.
need rent money.
Can I give these back?
Yeah.
I didn't like the shots.
Right. It is terrible vodka. So the girl does 10 shots. I do like 5. I think she did 9 shots. I did 5 shots. And then she's like, "You another one?" And I'm
So
and
remember
I'm
that
here. I'm
scene
like,
in
and I'm,
Indiana Jones
and
where
I'm seeing 2 of them.
there's
right
everyone
now.
standing around watching you, cheering you on, and you're like,
There were other people. Yeah. No.
I can't.
I can, but I won't. I can, but I
And then
won't.
you just-
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah!
I-
Everyone high fives her and screaming her and chanting her name, Debbie, Debbie.
No, it was not as.
That's what I agree. That's where I go.
Yeah. No, I don't think I would ever date a girl named Debbie.
That's where you went with this. This is some bullshit.
Her name was not Deb. Her name was Samantha. Shout out to Samantha.
Files out of on the computer, it doesn't tell it that it's empty when you put it in there, because I think it still has like I don't know, whatever storage, it looks like it's still being taken up, but then
Yeah, that's a problem that I've had with different cameras before, because I always use the same setup all the time. I think I've had to reformat a memory card like twice in my life.
Yeah.
But I do know that using different cameras and moving stuff back and forth does.
Yeah.
All right, we good to go?
Hey, and we're
Just count it down.
We're back. I don't know.
3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1, go ahead.
Nice. Okay. Where were we?
We were gathering our thoughts back to
Starting jiu-jitsu.
yes.
So I've only been training for a year and
Same.
a couple months. Yeah, you have some prehistory.
Yeah, I got some
you're
prehistory.
sneaky.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I've only been doing a year, and he's like, oh, what, you don't do the omelette? I'm like, what are you talking? Like, oh, I picked up the omelet. So I think the intenseness of jiu-jitsu and like what it brought out in me was it challenged my like confidence, my physical like abilities, my just like fighting, just being in conflict with people. I don't like conflict. I'm a very peaceful, happy person a lot. So simulating fighting and like really going there is scary to me, right?
Yes. I think it is for a lot of people.
Totally. Yeah. So those kind of anxieties and fears kind of get brought up during a jiu-jitsu. And that's great, I think. So for me, who's someone who likes to learn things and really like get into stuff that challenges me, makes me want to do it more. So I was like immediately hooked, and physical. Like my meditation is often tied to physical activity, like going for a run or bike riding or just playing soccer. Like I love it. Like that to me is the best kind of medicine, because it gets me out of my head and into my body and just lets me play, and I don't think about the fucked up world. I can just play soccer or go for a run, right? And jiu-jitsu is that way too. I can just like let everything else go and focus on how do I learn how to get from side control, or to get out of side control, or get from pass a guard. It's like, it's simple, it's clear, and I love that. And so those sort of challenges felt very similar to when I started learning improv back in 1999.
Oh my God, really?
Yes.
Oh my God,
I
was
took my
10 years old.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I was 19 years old. So I started doing improv, and I just fell in love with it, right? And it was fun and playful, and like, oh, this is a thing that people can do. As an adult, we can kind of learn to play and have
wordsmithing,
but also just like being a goof, right?
Yeah.
And like I was like that before. I just didn't really realize that there was kind of theory and philosophies behind it, and ways and tools and techniques to be better at.
Yeah.
Similar to jiu-jitsu, I think I'm pretty good at wrestling because of my experience with my brother. Like, just naturally, I learned how to protect myself. I had similar sort of instincts in improv that were fun and playful, and so that helped a lot. But I just fell in love with it, and that's all I wanted to do, all I wanted to think about and talk about, and get people to do it as well. And similar to jiu-jitsu, it's like that old saying, how do you know someone's a jiu-jitsu practitioner? Oh, they'll tell you.
Yeah, that old saying.
That old saying.
Yeah.
So those sort of, there's a lot of parallel instances where improv, you're throwing yourself out there and you're putting yourself out of your element. You're, it can be very scary. It can be very, it brings out a lot in people, right? Stuff that they don't really realize is in their creativity or their spontaneity, because they're kind of tapping into this part of themselves that they like spontaneous thought and reactions to things that they haven't really thought about it or uncovered much. So it's fascinating in that way.
So what you're saying is that there were philosophies and like methodologies and philosophies to improv comedy.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So
And one very important that I think the jiu-jitsu hits on a lot is embracing failure, right? Learning in jiu-jitsu, we go in and I'm just failing the whole time. I am like,
or you think you are, but really
Exactly.
you're getting better. You just don't think about it.
but we as humans, or I think in our society, associate failure with bad, and that you don't want to fail. You never want to fail. And it's like, well,
if you fail, you're a failure.
Exactly. Yeah. But you never. How can you learn anything if you don't fail at it? So, I got really good at failing at improv. So good at failing at improv that
You became
my
good.
failure is now a success in a sense, right?
Right.
So,
So
you
what
look
does
at
it
the
mean
failures as a
fail as-
positive thing.
So how do you fail as an improv person? What are the
Well, the idea. So in the beginning, I teaching a level 1 improv class, you really want to get them comfortable being okay failing and throwing themselves out there. And really, it's just a way to stop people from judging themselves and inhibiting making offers and making choices and joining an improv scene, right? If we're trying to think, well, I don't want to say the wrong thing, I don't want to look stupid, I don't want to sound dumb, they're never going to go in to the scene. They're never going to add on information or jump in. But if you kind of remove that and be like, you know what, it doesn't matter. This is an improv class. We're learning. I'm going to come out and say, you know, like, oh man, the fire's, my house is on fire, right? It's like, I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but it's an offer. And I'm endowing that I'm, you know, living in a neighborhood and my house is on fire. So I don't, you know, it's like information.
Just like the input of jiu-jitsu is information. Everything that the opponent gives you is a potential opportunity for you to think and respond adequately. And it has to do a lot with that input and so let's get back to the methodology of improv and comedy, because I think that that's super interesting to me. So, and obviously I personally can see all the correlations there.
Yeah.
With jiu-jitsu, obviously, you know, like you're putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, but you also have to kind of detach yourself from your mind a little bit.
Yeah,
so you can
it's
try
not a bad thing
different.
to learn how to fail, right?
Yes.
You want to get into a compromised position so that you're comfortable being in that compromised position.
Yes.
Because in a real situation, you know, we would freak out if you don't have jiu-jitsu training or any training, right? You would like, and that's what people do in improv when they don't want to fail. They don't want to get in there, so they just pull back, right?
Oh, interesting. So that's what I was about to ask. Is like, so
embrace the failure, jump out of the airplane, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a great one. And then, like you said, reading off your partner, right? Being in the moment with your partner is all an improv scene is. You know, it's like I make an offer in improv. It would be like, oh, my house is on fire. That's an offer. But in jiu-jitsu, it might be like, I'm going to try and go for an arm drag or something. Right. So I'm making an offer.
And now I have to respond to that offer.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so then you would take that information and add on. So in improv, you want to yes and, right? You want to say yes to the idea, and then you want to add on information. So you might say something like, the fire, I'm the fire chief. I don't know.
Yeah.
You're a fireman, and is there anyone in the building? Do we, you know, whatever. Or you could
my
say,
ex-wife is in there.
Yeah, exactly. Or you could be like, well, let me piss on it because I'm
let's see whatever. Put it out.
Yeah. That would be you accepting the information.
So there's rules in jiu-jitsu, right? Rules as in like there's standard practices for like if you do this, you do that next. Is there such a thing, somewhat of a correlation like that in comedy, or is there a more less rigid approach to comedy in that sense where like it should come from nowhere, but within you, you know, like it should.
I think it depends on what kind of comedy you're talking about, right? Because there's improv comedy, like whose line is it anyway, and there's a bunch of subversions of that where it's like long form improv versus short form game improv. But then, but in all of those, you're getting a suggestion, usually, not always, from the audience, and then you're making stuff up, right?
Yes, you're creating a whole
You're
thing.
creating it from based off of that suggestion. So the audience is sort of witnessing the magic. They're in on the magic, right? They are participating by yelling out, fire truck or whatever.
Yeah.
Stand-up comedy is very different, where you're on your own and you wrote all this shit. You are coming and saying, hey, here's my material, audience. They're not necessarily, they're basically
Giving you
just
input.
they are giving you feedback on how well you're doing.
Right. How
I
much
feel
they
like
laugh.
improv is sort of like the gi Jiu Jitsu, where it's it's kind of supportive, and then it's a little bit smoother and easier because you've got the gi to grab onto. You got lots of grips, and and it's kind of like magical in a way.
Right.
I think
see
no-gi
that.
is more like stand-up, where it's like brutal and you're going to get injured more often, probably.
The feedback
and
is heavier.
Someone's going to Ezekiel choke you out, or
right.
So
More prone to
guillotine,
injury.
yeah,
More prone to injury.
definitely.
Yes.
And it's a little more raw, and I think no-gi guys are a little more gruff and
yes.
kind of
Yeah.
like,
So the
what's the stand-up? Yeah, like
the stand-up
out there
guy-
smoking.
Right. I gotta go do heroin so I can get my
Yeah.
material.
Yeah.
Kind of guy. Whereas improv, you are using a lot the audience to try and get the material.
Yeah,
Right.
that's kind of the idea.
somewhat
That's
the idea.
intent. But long form improv, you get one suggestion, and then you'll do 20, 30, or an hour. Like you build a whole play or something. So there's lots of different long form forms, right?
Which one do you prefer? Or have you tried all of it? Have you tried short, long form, stand?
Yeah.
Have you tried all of it?
Yeah.
And do you have a
I
preference?
think improv certainly is in my wheel. That's how I started. But then I started doing sketch comedy, which is a bit of a blend of those two, I think, of stand-up and improv. So like
sketch,
Saturday Night Live style. So you're writing these things out.
Oh, okay. So.
And beforehand, SNL is written sketches. Second City they would build their sketches from improv, so they would do improv to develop, and they maybe have an idea like, hey, I have this idea of a neighbor whose house is burning down and the fire department comes and they're just not that into putting the fire out because they want to conserve water.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the premise, right? So then during the improv show, we would just try that once, and then next show we tried it different, and you'd find things. So you kind of improv your way through the sketch, right? So then eventually, once you've kind of found all the funny beats, then it sort of is more locked down, right? That is like, now it's a sketch with a beginning, middle, end, and you've got a button at the end,
So how do you know something is funny? How do you know something is actually funny?
People laugh.
People laugh. That's based. Yeah. That's the main.
No, I mean, I don't know. You get a sense for it doing it so much. You kind of, I mean, with stand up, there's sort of formulaic. You want to think of it as a joke, right? As you set up a premise, and then you have this surprising punch or this act out or whatever that kind of either flips the reality or is a unique perspective on it that the audience, it's a surprise, right? So you can kind of know that something might work, and then you have to just go and try it, right? With stand-up, I think you really have to just go try it. Sketch comedy, it's harder because you're writing it, and so you bounce it off your friends or whatever. But there was certainly sort of a formulaic kind of approach to you want to set up the premise, get to like, what's the funny thing about this idea, right? And in this, it's like, oh, the funny thing is the house is burning, but the fire department is worried about water conservation, right? Like, well, we only have a limited amount of water, whatever. To me, that would be the funny premise. So then how do you heighten that? It's like, my house is on fire. We're trying to conserve water. Like, that is like, oh, wait, what? That's the unusual thing. Then it's like,
for me, it would be like a time thing, like how funny can you make it in the least amount of words is how I think about comedy.
Well, definitely, you definitely want to, for stand-up, you want to cut as many extra words as possible and get to the just, every word should have a purpose for being in there.
Yeah.
But improv's a little more free and sketch, you know, you're doing, but that's in the editing, right?
It's like, let's add more wood to the fire. That way the fire will go out faster.
Sure.
You know?
Or like, is there a different way? Like we're workshopping other ways to put the fire out. So we got this giant fan. We got a bunch of people with fans.
Right.
And then this person is like, "What? That's not working." So it's kind of heightens the reality of like the fire department. It's like, well, shoot, the fans aren't working.
Yes.
You know.
And there's also like an element of like, I wonder who came up with the idea of just using water. You know, because there's probably anything. You can put a helicopter over it. You know, wind it out. That I don't know if they tried that, but I don't see that working necessarily. But it could maybe a combination of wind and water. But somebody was just like, no, it has to be just water.
Just water,
right?
Have we tried gas? Has anyone tried?
Right. Yeah.
So then you kind of so going back to sort of structure and rules. I mean, in an art form, you sort of learn all the rules to break all the rules, and I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
No,
but you know, you get good at it.
You're very self-aware, right?
Yeah.
So in jiu-jitsu, you start becoming aware of like the arm drag.
Totally.
And you get arm dragged enough times where you're like, I've been here before.
Yeah.
And so that's probably a rule. You know, and so you kind of are making it up in improv as you go. You're making the rules up, but not really.
Maybe I don't like the word rule. Maybe that's what I think. But I think
don't like rules.
Well, only because I think there's so much with an art form. Because I'm sure there's things in jiu-jitsu that seem like the right way to do it, but once you get good enough, you can let people do that so that you can get to this other thing. And I guess all I'm saying, like a surprise or a trap, but I'm saying in comedy, you know, there's rules, but I think that it's an art form that all those rules can be broken and should be broken.
Okay, I see. So that's how it is different than jiu-jitsu in a sense, because in jiu-jitsu it's more like.
But do you think don't you think jiu-jitsu is still evolving? Like there's still people are still.
It's a tough question to answer, because if you think about it, all of the martial arts that exist. Andy told me this one time.
One time on the podcast.
Yeah. All of the martial arts. So you can basically train with all of the OG martial artists that create. I'm sorry. You cannot. Let me rephrase. You cannot train martial arts with the martial artists that have created the martial arts of the past. So the guy who invented karate.
Yeah.
You can't train with that guy.
He's not around.
Yeah. You know, he's dead a long time ago.
Yeah.
You can't train with the guy that invented judo. You can't train with the guy that invented kung fu. You can't train with any
just like you can't train with the guy who created short form improv or long, you know, in a sense. Right?
Except for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh.
The guys who created Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu are still around.
Yeah.
You can train with those guys in real life still.
Yeah. There he is.
Look, there he is. That's the guy that invented it. This guy invented the Kimura. No, not the Kimura.
And you can tell he carries around a sign. It's like, I invented Jiu-Jitsu.
It's on his gi. I invented this move, the Berimbolo or whatever. You know.
But I think that
I invented
for a while,
Jiu
Jitsu was still evolving, and the Berimbolo, like that stuff came later, right? It was like it has evolved. So to say that it is no longer evolving, I think the explosion of popularity with MMA and jiu-jitsu is only gonna evolve it in a way. And I'm not saying that that's gonna make it better for some people. I think some people are probably learning
new techniques.
Well, yeah, but also like sloppy jiu-jitsu, right? In a way. And I'm not saying that's better. I'm just saying that the art, I think there's part of it.
You're not trying to basically say anything bad about the guy that invented sloppy jiu-jitsu, right?
Sloppy Joe Jitsu is what he calls it. Sloppy Joe Jitsu. That's a great name for a
That's a
restaurant.
really good
Sloppy
name.
Jiu Jitsu.
Yes, that is very good.
Patent pending.
So but what I'm saying,
Andy's already opening up a restaurant called
He's opening
Sloppy
everything.
Jiu Jitsu. You're really special. I found you.
Well, what I was going to say is like, okay, so John Danaher, for example.
Yeah.
Right? John Danaher, incredible jiu-jitsu teacher and practitioner. He talks about body mechanics, right? So
Yeah.
he talks about like, if I put your arm in this direction, then there's only two other things that you can do from there.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that.
And if I put it this slightly different direction, there's only one thing that you can do from there.
Yeah.
So obviously my goal is to put you in the one thing that you only have one option, because if I know what your one option is, then I'll know how to shut it down.
Yeah.
You know?
So like chess in a sense, right? Where I'm making a move and then you
purposefully
have all these options, but as you get closer to the end of the game, I make a move that forces you to.
I know where you're going.
You have to go there. You have no other.
Right. Whereas in comedy, it sounds like you have so much free range.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yes, but we do short form improv. Sometimes has handles and the gimmicks, and they put rules on it, constraints that force you to do things, right? Like reading from a sentence, like my wife said to me the other day, chickens are loose or whatever, and I have to read this sentence that this is the worst like examples of improv, but chickens are loose, and then it endows the scene, right?
Yes.
So I think improv does have some of that stuff, that mechanical sort of rules and structures, but
it might appear
it is much more
though.
free, yeah.
I was about to say it might appear as though there isn't. Like you did comedy with Ryan Stiles, right?
Yeah,
you told me one time. So how is it seeing a comedy guy just starting out and then seeing Ryan Stiles? Like it's
like watching Marco roll with somebody,
right?
Or
black
rolling
belts.
with Marco. It's like, but here's the difference. So, improv is a collaborative thing, right? Jiu-jitsu, you're trying to
improve,
tap your partner out.
Yeah.
You're trying to win, essentially. Improv, I think you're both trying to win over the audience. Maybe, I don't know. I'm workshopping this, but so an armbar in improv could be me making the offer of the burning building, and then you accepting the armbar and or tightening it would be you adding on that you're the fire department here to put out the, I'm here to put out the fire, but we're also doing a photo shoot for our calendar, right? So that's your offer, right? So then together we've created this scene, right?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to beat you. I'm trying to help and set you up.
Oh, I see.
So the parallel between jiu-jitsu and improv is there for me, but the difference is that we're working together in improv. We're not against each other.
Right.
So that's where that's the only difference, which is fascinating.
And I guess in that sense, now all of the comedians are the entity, and the feedback of the opponent is the audience, because
essentially it's clear. Yeah. So it's clarity, getting across clear and specific ideas to your partner, who then accepts and adds on to those and heightens the reality, and you then find the comedy in those funny scenarios. So us getting laughs would kind of be like getting a tap, maybe. Yes. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is all new shit. This is new shit.
Today he just wants to make the most amount of noise
for the
podcast. Okay, so I see what you're saying. So the correlations are vast as far as what I like is the failure part, and that's one thing I wanted to touch on. So you said that you got to fail.
Talk about failure. You got a little cat here.
Look at that. Don't touch it, though, because you're allergic.
I know. Yeah. I'm allergic to heat. He doesn't tell me this. I show up to his house. He's like,
I have an EpiPen.
Cat everywhere. So if I'm phlegmy, it's from the cat.
So failure, because I think that's probably one of the things and the dark side of comedy, right? So
totally.
So you did Halloween Horror Nights, and you said that was brutal, and yet you were acting.
That was improv.
It wasn't improv, but you are, it's your
As
actor, writer,
entertainer,
comedian.
yeah.
As an entertainer, this is like things that people in your field, I guess, will probably experience, which is like they do something that they may have not done before or is different or out of their comfort zone, but then they either fail at it or they don't like it or the people in it suck or whatever it is, and so tell me more about failures within comedy and what does that look like to you and how do you kind of move past that or learn from that?
Well,
If there are any failures.
there's a ton.
You
I haven't failed ever.
I failed one time. 1980.
Since I punched Leaf in the face, I haven't failed once.
I mean, you have to get good at failing because when you're rolling and you go to Jiu Jitsu and you have just like it's a rough day where you just get the crap beat out of you and you don't feel like you're clicking, nothing's working. You're just feeling like I can barely survive. And you
like
kind of
amateur.
You walk, and you walk away licking your wounds, right? That is huge in comedy where you do a stand-up set or an improv show and you just feel like shit. I mean, there's nothing worse than being in front of 200 people and going up to make a big offer to do a scene and it just tanks and everyone is just like not laughing there. You can tell. I mean, in improv, luckily they're supportive, right? They're like, well, you did the thing, right? But I know, and that crushes the ego, right? So getting good at learning how to embrace that and just like accept it and roll on, but because you still have the rest of the show to do, you can't just bail out and be like, you know what, I'm sorry, we're gonna cut it early. That one didn't go well. So learning how to embrace failure, and when I teach level 1 improv, I am the first 8 weeks is just essentially getting people to get out of their heads and jump into things, right? Which is, I think that would be equal to learning how to not freak out when you're someone's got you, either takes your back or even side control, right? Just not freak out, not push up. Just relax and breathe. Be in the moment. Be present. Protect yourself. So that is a huge part of the first failure. Is just learning how to be in the scene and to jump in.
Right.
And then, as you get better and as you're trying stuff, you're going to swing and miss a ton. So just laughing at it. Like I did a ton of stand up and I was terrible at it, but I think I was good at it because I could always improvise. If a joke I wrote didn't work, I could always riff on it in the moment and get some sort of laugh from the audience. And the audience loves when you're laughing at yourself for failing too. When you're really hard on yourself, like, come on, what? That was funny. You didn't get it. And you get mad at the audience for not laughing at your joke. That's, to me, is when you fail as a comedian.
Right. And I guess the correlation with jiu-jitsu is there is like you being upset at your opponent for doing a good move. Yeah.
Totally. If you're pissed at yourself for like not tapping out a 250-pound dude,
right,
or for messing up a joke, well, then you're missing the point of what practice and training is. It's like, well, you're gonna fail, so you might as well just embrace it.
Yes, you might as well just go for it and try it out.
Embrace it and fail a ton.
See if it works.
How many chokes have you not been able to get because your arm wasn't or your grip wasn't deep enough or whatever? Or how many times have you been choked out because you let them take your back because you forgot? And it's like, well, here I am again. Here I am again.
Exactly.
And that's what improv. You train. You do it a ton and fail. The burning building, it's my burning house, and then you come out and you're like, I'm actually a doctor,
right?
And you're a sick patient, and I'm like, well,
or the fireman's house is the one that's burning down.
Yeah, sure. But that scene could totally tank, and you'd learn from it though,
right?
Because you feel it immediately when something is not going.
Do you ever go home immediately? And go like, wow, today sucked.
All the time.
Really?
From jiu-jitsu?
No, from comedy. From jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've had to me all the time.
It's brutal. Yeah, same. And that's partially why I was like, this is like improv.
Right.
No, it's really hard because people are paying money
Yes.
to come watch you make shit up.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of
Right.
stakes on that.
Right. And your ego is
Yeah.
mixed into it all, right? Like,
Totally.
did I do well? It matters to me how I feel, but also did the feedback that I receive also kind of tells my ego, yeah, you did a good job, And so, but I bet you getting a laugh must be like the most rewarding thing. It almost must feel like
I've got
so exhilarating and
2 laughs in my life.
yes.
No, it is. There's nothing more exhilarating than that. I mean, and that's why stand-up is so addicting and hard. Like stand-up, doing a good 5-minute set where you really get the audience. That's a high that is not. There's not a lot that compare to that.
Wow.
It's
That's
amazing.
huge.
Improv is similar if you do, but you're sharing it with a group, right? And so, but there's a little bit different of you coming up and crushing with 5 minutes of shit that you wrote. That is a high that is
unbeatable. Probably.
It's pretty unbeatable.
Yeah, because you're talking about like you said, people that paid money, they got dressed, they drove to this place to see me.
They're shit-faced.
They paid up probably a lot of money, and here they are to see you just crack jokes that you were making while probably, eating a sloppy Joe naked in your house playing video games,
Sloppy Joe from Sloppy Jiu Jitsu. That's our sponsor.
To comedy.
Sloppy Jiu Jitsu.
We're looking for a sponsor, so so that must be very exhilarating as well. It's like the failures lead up.
I recommend everyone take a jiu-jitsu intro class and an improv intro class
with you.
Like that. No, well, the improv for sure. I don't got shit to teach jiu-jitsu. No, but I think that'll make you a better human in general. I say that about improv all the time. Like, just take one level 1 improv class.
So you didn't start jiu-jitsu really because you punched Leaf in the face. You started it because you were failing at comedy, and you're like, I need to
beat up the audience. This is funny.
Right. You needed to find a way to balance it all out.
Yeah. But it is an art, and I think it's evolving too. Comedy is like, it's gone through so many different waves, and I don't know. I'm not.
So where what wave are we on right now? Like, is there such a thing as like comedy disappearing, you think? Like, is that because with censorship and everything that goes on now?
I don't think so.
Or do you think it's the opposite? You think that people are now more than ever wanting to hear people be as real as they can and just say wild shit?
I think people will always, we are storytellers, humans, right? We've been storytellers forever. And we love to laugh. I don't think there will be a time when laughter and story and play and comedy,
storytelling, compelling storytelling,
our drama. I don't think there will ever be a time where that is not,
Boy, that would be a very dark time.
And they say that during times of war, theater and comedy and perform, like the arts, usually
I like how
thrive.
He just keeps going back to the bag to make the most amount of sound.
Here, let's pull the bag out of there so you can just look at all your toys. There you go.
I think he just wants the bag.
Oh yeah, he's like, fuck the toys.
I want the bag.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah, that'd be a very dark time if that was the case, right? Where like,
the pandemic was. It showed a lot of the colors of people and how the arts. In my opinion, some people really dismissed the arts in a way that I was very surprised.
During
the pandemic, where there was a lot of, what was it? Essential
workers. They were shutting businesses left and right, or.
But there was this kind of idea. I saw a post, something that's like, when the apocalypse comes, it's the carpenters and the plumbers and the whatever that are going to save you, not and it listed a bunch of like artistic things.
Yeah.
And it was just interesting that that art and painters and poets and sculptors, we were all being sort of and comedians, and we're being sort of thrown under this like, well, we don't really need that stuff. What we need is this other stuff. And I don't know if that's true. I think for humanity to survive, like, we need to be able to feel like, you know, you ask that person, like, hey, when your parent died or when your loved one died, what did you do? You listened to music, you read poetry, you looked at art. Like, there's I think it was kind of interesting how quickly people were able to say, like, well, we don't need entertainment, or we don't need that kind of stuff to survive.
Right.
And I guess I just don't want to live in that world.
Or things that can be said and can't be said during the pandemic. It's like, you know, like there was.
Yeah, I mean, I think censorship too. There's a ton of.
I think people
ton of
already
that going
naturally
on.
censor themselves now more than ever, I think. But I think that they were trying to impose that on entertainers, comedians, and things like that. And I saw that, you know, I felt that because, like,
Yeah.
I remember watching stand-ups like Eddie Murphy stand-ups and things like that, where the guy was, well, to put a pun in there, raw. It was just very raw.
No, I know. I
and,
saw
and,
that.
And it was
Delirious.
Delirious. Delirious made me laugh like nothing had made me laugh ever in my life.
Totally.
You know, because I related to it and the genuineness and the rawness and the, you know, he just said whatever he wanted, and he you could tell that he was like riffing on top of things that he had written.
Yeah.
You know, so it was just like he was just going. He was in a flow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that the censorship thing has probably made some comedians really think about what it is what kind of material they want to put out, so that, you know, almost like they're catering more to the audience rather than just putting out the art for art's sake, you know?
Sure. Yeah. I think some of the stuff that some of the people that are complaining about censorship are just saying things to be sensational. Like, they're not
interesting.
They're not. I don't know, and I don't know. Maybe I'll get canceled for it, but I don't. I think that it's been such a polarizing thing. It's been like such a political thing, right? That people now, the right can kind of point to, oh, they're being censored. The liberals are censoring this because they're too soft, they're too weak. So then it becomes this big thing that everyone's talking about, only because it has been a political polarization, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that people aren't getting canceled for saying things, and I don't think, like, I think that comedy should evolve and be better, and we should be smarter and more interesting and more unique. And, like, what is your perspective? But if your perspective is racist, sexist, or homophobic or whatever, I mean, I don't, and we call that out. I don't think that's us canceling comedy. I think that's saying your comedy sucks, and or your comedy isn't unique. You're just saying things that are racist, sexist, homophobic in a joke format. And then you're saying, like, hey, it's just a joke. It's like, well, fucking work harder. Like, write better shit.
Right.
Write more unique shit. Write more interesting stuff. And then, you know, so that's not, to me, that's not like, oh, we're censoring these people. We're just calling out what we are smarter as a people, and more realizing that, oh, humans are more evolved and more unique than just this and this category. It's like, oh, we're seeing, like, oh, there's a whole bunch of other shit. And that is helping comedy, right? Because now it's more nuanced and more, you can be more creative about things. But I think people are still want to go back to, like, hey, look at that gay person. You know, they just want to point to the thing that's different. And it's like, that's my punchline. That's my joke. Right. It's like, well, that's boring. I think it's more of like less cancel, more like write better shit. I don't know. Write different shit.
Well, I think that going back to the feedback thing with the audience, it's like the audience now probably is realizing that human beings are very interesting.
Yeah.
And that there's so many things that you can relate to.
Yeah.
Rather than pointing to the most obvious things immediately.
Yeah, little cheap low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, little cheap jokes, you know.
But I do think that audiences sometimes are dumb, right? And we've been trained. And I've laughed at a ton of things that now I look back and I'm like, yeah, that wasn't probably a great thing, but I didn't know. I mean, we're evolving. We're educating ourselves. I would hope that you know, and we get better and we realize, oh, that joke did was offensive to a large group of people. And now that I see that, I'm fine not saying that. Or, it's
or changing
I have
the
no
joke,
problem saying,
right?
yeah, we probably shouldn't do that because that, makes this large group, or even if it was just a few people, it's really, we're just laughing at them. And now that we're becoming more aware of it, I think that's what's happening. It's not that we've all of a sudden decided to cancel things. It's just that we're becoming more aware of how the way we talk and the way we interact with people affects other people, and that we are more unique and different on a lot of different levels.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. I would say just make cool, funny shit that's interesting and unique, as opposed to being mad that you can't make offensive stuff towards somebody or whatever, And if you're gonna do it, find a cool, unique way to do it, right?
Do it.
If that's really what you want to do,
right,
then...
Because I think there's no better comedian, in my opinion, than taking something that's maybe like problematic, something that's a little bit,
hot topic,
and then just really breaking it apart and then putting it back together in a way that's very relatable to everyone, and it's still funny.
Yeah.
I love
and
that.
if it like puts a mirror up to the audience and goes, see what you're laughing at, like see
elements,
and makes people think. I love that. Smart dumb comedy is kind of what I try, and I feel like that's my sweet spot, is if I can do something that's kind of big and dumb but also makes people think and go like, oh yeah, that is, why do I relate to that or whatever, then I feel like I like that.
And I think that's what I personally love about comedy, is that there's always elements of truth. No matter how crazy and bombastic or wild the statements are, there are kernels of truth strewn throughout that and I think that's why some people laugh at it more than somebody else in the audience. Like maybe somebody finds it absolutely hilarious because they completely relate to it, and then somebody somewhere else in the audience doesn't relate too much to it.
I was doing a Randy Dixon. I don't know if this was his, but he's a improv director out of Seattle, Unexpected Productions. Would do these international festivals. Anyway, what he was saying is that there's two kinds of laughs. There's the I get it laugh, like, oh, I get the joke. I get that the fire department shows up and they want to put the fire out and they want to take the photo, right? So they're like, the house is burning, but they're like posing for the thing, right? Which is a funny scene. We should write that. We should do that sketch.
We should do that sketch. Also, that the fireman's chief, his house is burning down, but that's the day that they decided to do the workshop. To try something else instead of water,
So that's the joke of like, oh, I get it. I see the joke, right? I see the irony.
Very obvious,
But the other kind, so they get that kind of laugh. So you get a laugh from that. But then the other kind of laugh is the laugh where you know a fire chief, and you know that he might do something like that. So you're thinking, oh my God, that's just like Uncle Johnny, right? Like he would totally show up and like get ready, right? So that's a different kind of, that's a laugh of like, I see myself up there. And those laughs are the ones that they will remember that, and they'll tell their friends about forever, right?
Right.
Not that the other one isn't, you want to get laughs to any degree, but it is interesting, like the different, and I think that second version is much more raw and honest and truthful, right? If you can present things in a way that, hey, people in the audience might actually see that person up there, as opposed to a kind of a caricature, a big
detaching it from the audience.
You're like, here's this joke, right? So I don't know, man. Comedy's great. It's wild. It's hard to write comedy too. Like writing jokes is
how
hard.
Hard is it? Tell me
how hard is it?
Tell me the process of writing comedy and or thinking of new ideas.
Just like sit down and just start writing is really hard. So it's like you want to keep notes, all of it, because things come to you all the time, right? You think, oh, I had this interaction at Starbucks, like, oh, that's interesting. I came in and no one greeted me. Like, you're used to people greeting you. Like every time you walk in, it's like, hey, welcome to Starbucks, even if they're doing something. And then today I walked in and no one said anything, and I was kind of like, oh, what is this the right place or something?
Yeah.
So to me, that's kind of funny that I had that thought, right? That I was like, oh, they didn't greet me when I walked in 30 feet away from anyone. It's like, they're working. I don't give a shit. I was only used to it. So then when they didn't do it, I was like, so that to me is like, oh, I should write that down. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a sketch. I don't know if it's a stand-up bit, but just keeping those notes like, oh, that's a funny thing. So then later when you go to sit down, you look at that and you go like, oh, that could be something that, and then you have some ideas to riff off of.
I love that. That's perfect, because that's probably one of the most relatable things. Everybody drinks coffee.
Yeah.
Everybody goes to Starbucks.
Yeah.
And everybody has an ego.
So then I could approach it a lot of different ways. It could be if it was if I wanted to do a sketch or then it would be about maybe the identity crisis this person goes through, or they are demanding it, or maybe it's from the Starbucks perspective where they go over the top and they have to greet every single person to the biggest degree. So that's,
or they change policy.
Oh, someone's coming, shit, get the banner. So it's like, welcome to Starbucks. So they never end up building, or they never end up making any coffee. They're just greeting people, and there's like a line of 40 people like, shit, another person like, so that's one sketch. Right. So then I would write that version.
Or maybe they change the policy on you. Maybe they're like, you know what, we're done.
Yeah, and I'm like, I want to speak to the manager about this.
Yeah.
I walk in there twice a week. I don't come here that often.
Yeah.
But he's just really, he Karens it up about that they don't greet him. Like, America is like ruined now.
Right.
What cancel culture has ruined Starbucks because they can't even greet you now. Well, we can't say hi. Welcome to Starbucks.
You're afraid of pronouncing names wrong.
Yeah.
So we canceled that.
So everyone is now Alan.
Right. We were writing the same name on the cup. Yeah. So everybody has the same cup.
I'll tell you for Alan.
John.
So so that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's comedy. I mean, that was awesome. Literally just me having this thought, oh, that's interesting. Why did I think that? I think that's interesting or weird.
Yeah.
Or that's kind of funny. Write those down anytime, even if you don't know what it is. Like, just write it down. Then when you go later, you have a sort of trove of, oh, here's 10 things. Like, oh yeah, the dog at the park that wouldn't go play with the other dogs or something. Like, I don't know what that is, but there might be something there.
But that requires, I think, some training, no?
Yeah.
Some self-awareness as well. And...
Yeah, you take a sketch class. The Pack Theater out of LA teaches online sketch classes that are incredible. Eric Moneypenny, it's an 8-week class, I think, and I've taken it 3 times now. That, and I love that theater. I performed there a lot when I was in LA. I was on one of the house sketch teams, and that class is the best training you'll get. It's an online. I think he's still doing online. 8 weeks, and you'll just get the basics, the bare bones of like how to go from zero to writing a sketch. And a lot of, because there's different kinds of sketches, so there's different ways to approach the idea. Like, what's the funny idea? And like, okay, well, what would be the best way to present this?
Yes.
Like, is it a big character sketch where the character's over the top and like a Will Ferrell SNL type sketch, or is it more of a person looking at a crazy world? They're out of their element in a way, or so then you kind of know, once you sort of learn all those different styles, you can kind of approach it in a different way, because some ideas will work better with other like they'll work better presented in a specific way. Like a big over the top character is like, yes, that's definitely the way to do it. So you just want this character, everyone else is normal, and this character, it's like the WWF the wrestler that's working at Starbucks, right? It's like, okay, huge character, and now all we want to see is wrestling stuff in a coffee shop,
right?
That's all. So it's basically just, what are the examples? He's pile driving the espresso machine or whatever,
right?
Like, you think you want to drink this coffee?
Yeah.
Come over, whatever. It's like those are. Yeah, right, exactly.
It's like goes crazy.
So you find those again, but it might be a different version.
So I know SAG-AFTRA just ended the big
in the Writers Guild.
Yeah, the Writers Guild and all of them, just that whole thing was a whole mess. Is there, do you see a day where comedy will be manufactured, perhaps not by humans, but by like computers and AI? And
I mean, it
algorithms?
already is. If you look at, so there's like, I can't remember. There was a site. I should find it. Maybe you can post it in the notes. I think it's like an ongoing AI generated Seinfeld like cartoon that is happening, and I think it's
Really?
just and it's just like Seinfeld, AI generated Seinfeld. And there's like AI generated movies and all kinds of stuff. I don't think we'll ever completely replace us at all. No, I think it's kind of terrifying though, because I pulled up Chat GPT, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and just plugged in, write a song about this. I think it was like a song about hiking or something, just for shits and giggles. And then it just spit out this, I don't know if it was funny, but it was just a perfectly formatted song about hiking and looking out at nature. And I was like, fuck,
Right.
that's tough because it's hard to write a song.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to do that stuff. And now all of a sudden something can just spit out a generic, a decent take at it.
Do you think that Arnold was funny as a Terminator? Do you think there was anything funny about him in that movie?
Arnold doing stand up as the
Killing
Terminator,
people, yeah.
there's a sketch. I mean, it's a bit outdated, but a little too late
Maybe
on
not
that one.
anymore. Maybe it's coming back
Yeah.
full circle. AI.
I'll be back
I'll be back.
to kill you. My tight five. Oh man. Well, yes, I think he was funny because he was the miscommunication. What do you mean I can't kill people, right? Wasn't he
Right.
like? So then he starts shooting him in the knees, right?
Yes. Yeah.
We
Figure of conscience.
we think that's funny. I don't think the T-1000 was he the 1000?
Was it the 1,000? That's a good
No,
question.
he was the
3,000. The
T-800.
Nimbus 3000.
Nimbus. Did you
The
ever
Nimbus
hear about
9000.
that where they created those to sell them, the Nimbus, as a toy for the kids, and it was a broom that vibrated?
No.
Yes, and there was this whole thing about like, yeah, we probably
Why would it vibrate?
because it was like supposed to be
Like you're on
feels like you're on it.
it? Oh, weird.
And the moms, the joke was that all the moms were using it,
Yeah.
riding
yeah.
around.
Hardwood
They're
vibrate.
so interested in that.
Very, yeah.
And or the dads, I don't know. Cut that. No.
Nimbus. Yeah, the Nimbus 69,000.
69. So what were you saying? Oh, was Arnold funny? And was that? I don't think. No, I think that we are going to find a way to use AI to make other art. I mean, we already have.
Better keep evolving the art is what you're
Yeah.
saying. Yeah,
Hopefully.
you see it as a tool. I'm scared shitless out of it, honestly. Like
I do see it as a tool, but I also do see it as yeah, like it potentially could.
that's why I'm learning Jiu Jitsu now. It's turned into a
So you can
different thing.
arm bar Arnold as the
Yes,
2000.
yes. Just making sure that I'm ready for when he lands. It's like
Ugh.
yeah. I don't know what to make of AI personally. I think that I do sort of see it as a tool, obviously, but at the same time, I think that it is in the hands. Like I don't understand it. You know what I mean? Like I don't know it's how I don't know how things work. I don't know how my
I don't know how
phone
a
works.
CD works.
I don't know how a CD works. I don't know how cameras work.
CDs
I have an
came and
idea.
went, and I never learned like
That
how-
technology
how
is
that-
yeah.
like, oof. I know they do work. I trust that, but I could not explain
There was
to
a
you.
laser
Yeah, it's laser.
That
That's
was
as far as I
reading
get. It spins
music
and there's a
off of
laser.
thing. It's like how
Record.
does it do that?
Now record, you can understand that, right?
No.
Record player.
Yeah, how
A
does
little
that work?
needle.
You put the needle.
It's got the.
How is the needle picking up on the?
It's the vibrations, or
the
it's the
vibrations.
grooves, right?
So
It's
the grooves
are imprinted in a
perfect music.
specific. Yeah.
puts out perfect music.
All right, so it's a
Sure.
little, but I
Sure.
understand. I understand it a little more than I do
Right.
see.
Well, but
Yeah.
my point is like, so
The band is in the record and the grooves. That's where they are. Little tiny band. They
they're
make
singing
they
with like a little
replicate
tiny microphone.
little tiny
Yeah.
and buy a house, pay things
We're on?
off. Yeah.
Why do you think that creatives do that? Why do you think creatives
Well,
sacrifice?
that's what I want to figure out. Like,
So
why
you
do
don't
you?
know. So you don't know personally why you do what
Well,
you do.
I know partially why I do it is that I feel the most alive and the most myself when I am on stage in an improv scene or a stand up set, and it's just that flow and that connection with the audience. When I feel that, I feel peace, and I feel like I'm doing good in a sense, making people laugh and sharing that energy with everybody.
Yeah.
Like that to me makes me feel the most alive, and I just crave that all the time.
So I guess the creatives are like the painter and the entertainer, they're all seeking similar things. They're seeking that they can express themselves, and then through their expression that there is an end product that, or an end, or maybe product's not the right word, but that there is this like thing that you did that was put out there into the world. Like you put out your soul into that painting, or you put your soul into the joke or whatever the case may be, and that it's out there now and everybody can see it and experience it and have it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why the starving artist thing is such a thing, a real thing, because you love it so much that you would do it for free.
Yeah, and I have.
You know what I mean? It's like that. That's
what they
I
tell
think that's
a lot of
part
actors.
what happens.
They tell people say about actors. It's like, if there is anything else that you think you could do for a living, do that as opposed to acting.
Wow.
Yeah. Because it's a fucking grind, and it's going to destroy you, and it's going to rip your heart out multiple times over and over again. You are going to be disappointed. You are going to be a failure. You are going to hate yourself.
Question everything.
And then, and then you're gonna question everything, and then you got to get up and go do an audition the next day. And it's like,
wow,
the grind and the percentage of people who make it as an actor and make it in that kind of entertainment is so minuscule that that you have to be crazy to put yourself through all that, through years of that.
Yeah.
You have to love it so much that you're willing to live like that. And I mean, and the depression and the stress and the anxiety and all of that is just built into that, to art, to that creation. So I don't know why people do this. I think, a painter, a sculptor, a poet, like, we're all wrestling with things, right? We're dealing with life, and we're taking it in and trying to make meaning of it. And one way we do that is we make our art and we share it. And I've gone through phases where I just am terribly depressed about it and shy, and I just stop putting stuff out because I just feel so kind of broken, and part of that is that I think or depressed or whatever, that when that output stops, when I stop that's when I get in trouble, right? That's when I start getting more and deeper into the depression and stuff. And I think part of it too is that I'm worried about outcome. I'm worried about doing it right or good or the best, as opposed to, I just need to create. Like, that to me is what it's about, is just creating. I don't care if it's good. I just care that I like it and that I'm invested and that it means something to me. And then sharing that is more valuable than trying to share something that you think someone else will think is good. Because once you start doing that and putting value on it based on other people or based on the audience reaction, you get into trouble, because you're not being true to yourself. And I think a lot of people can get away with that and can be very successful just by trying to do what they think other people will think is good. But that's hard, and I don't think that's creating art truly for yourself.
So I think that the struggling or starving artist idea
Yeah.
is something that a lot of people go through. But I think people go through it in general, right? Like I think that that's part of what I'm struggling with.
Why did artists? I was like, well, being poor is our thing. So
yeah, don't take it.
At least we're an artist, right?
Right.
We're so self-righteous.
For me, it's I think everybody goes through that, and for me personally, I think that I'm going through similar struggles about like thinking, should things be perfect?
Yeah.
Should life be perfect? Why am I not perfect? Why are my relationships not perfect? Why is my family situation not perfect? Why is this perfect? Why is that not perfect? You know, you start comparing things. And I think that that's where the mental struggle for me comes into play. But I think the one way that I have found to get around that mental struggle and that idea is
key lock.
The key lock. Yes, the Kimura to it all, I think, is to just literally put it out there, as much of it and as fast of it as possible. Because if the key, like in business, for example, is to fail quickly on that idea, to try and find where the problems lie, then the reality is that unless you are not doing it often and a lot of it, you know, or how should I phrase that? Like when it comes to creating content, let's say, right? Like the idea is to put as much of it out there as fast as possible, because it's not for the audience. It's not for them. It's for you. It's for you to just release that self-expression of what you're feeling and putting it out there completely, be completely vulnerable. And then if there is feedback to be had, then you take that input and you can do with it as you will, but you can only get genuine feedback and input back if you put all of yourself out there, so that everybody can then go like, oh, I like that. Oh, I don't like this. I like that. I don't like that. And
seems like the social media, you know, the TikTok explosion where it was, you know, and Vine had the steak kind of, or whatever, and then TikTok came along and was like, oh, this is the one that we're going to choose, right? Which was great. And during the pandemic, I fell deep into a TikTok like phase, and I made a ton of really dumb shit that's all just sitting. I was making stuff a lot. I made a ton of like dumb little things, and then I kind of didn't get a ton of traction, and just honestly just kind of cold turkey stopped.
Oh wow.
But I think I was attached to the outcome of it, but also
interesting.
But I agree, and I think what they want, you know, the algorithm, people are more interested in a raw, less curated thing. They want to see the mistakes. They want to see the real you, as opposed to like, I only put out one video a week and it's very tight and, you know, curated. So I think self-expression is awesome, and I think that now that there's an avenue, social media wise, to just throw shit out there, it's great, but I think it can be really bad for people who get addicted to it, and that they only get their validation from that relationship between them and their fans, which I certainly did. And I was just like, oh shit, this sucks because I'm having a shitty day because I posted something and it didn't get much traction. I'm like letting that give me value in life. I'm like, well, fuck, that's not right. That's not the right place to be.
Right, and I think that's actually similar to the pinky toe situation, right? It's like, my pinky's hurt. I'm out for 7 years. Yeah, I'm out. I can't do it anymore. I think
Marco, I'll see you in 6 years.
Marco, yeah, he's already dead. You know,
he's like, I don't teach anymore.
Yeah,
I'm like, please put my pinky.
My pinky's better. So I think that for me, you know, on that same stream of thought that you're saying, the outcome, I think at this point doesn't matter as much. You know, I think that's
not your responsibility for her. It's not your job to decide what the outcome is.
Exactly.
It's your job to do the work and to just fucking make it
the best it could be.
That you're like, oh, this is what I want to make. I love this, and I don't care what anyone else thinks or if I think that it's going to be good. You just dive into it and love it and commit to it and make it, and then you know, and I've made a lot of things. I've written fringe shows that I've toured around the world, and that's like, all right, here's an hour content that I am presenting to audiences. And you go to a festival and you do 7 shows over a week and a half, right? And you get all the tickets from sales, so and you might get reviewed, but I'm getting very direct, very real time feedback on how my show is doing, right? And then it's like, okay, I did the show on Thursday night, all right, I don't have another show till Saturday, so like, well, I could tinker a little bit with this and this, but it's hard to change the show, right? So I just kind of have to commit to my bit and do it. But then you learn so much, and you put it out there, and you just keep putting it out there. And sometimes it's like, it's a home run. Sometimes it's just a single or whatever, to use a baseball analogy.
I think that you're absolutely right. I think that what I feel is that by creating content that is not focused on necessarily like the outcome, and in this case, like whether AI will take over or not or whatever, I think that, in fact, I would argue that the reaction to AI is more genuine, real, raw,
Interesting
output of content. You might go back to the TikTok thing again, and this time you might not focus on the outcome. Boom, and see wild results. And I think
stop trying so
hard. It's okay to try hard. I think
what's trying so hard to be good,
right? And that's trying to be good. Yeah.
Honestly,
exactly.
When I teach improv, I have to constantly remind people: don't try and be funny. Don't try to be good, because the minute you start putting too much pressure on yourself to be funny or good or the best, you're in your head. You're not connecting with your partner, and it's gonna sound stupid. You're gonna say something that you think, oh, this is gonna be the biggest. And I still sometimes do this. Like, I'll come out and I'll fucking lay in some. Well, I haven't seen one of those in a long time, and it's like crickets. And I'm like, I thought that was gonna be like stand up, like cheer, lights out, thank you,
standing ovation.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm completely, it's
you're
just,
baffled by
it's like
results.
Right. I guess we got to keep going with this scene, or I'll just like, but but that was me trying to be funny, trying too hard. I mean, and people are paying tickets to come see a show. It's like, you have to do comedy. You can't be too wanky with it, but you also so with beginning improv, I tell them, just do a normal scene, and you know what? Most of the time, it's funny. It becomes fun. They discover the funny. If discovery over invention, right? I don't want to bring the idea. I want to discover it. Then it's much more real and organic. But if I try and force it, then I'm not including my partner, and I'm probably not listening and feeling what's going on in the room.
Right.
The audience is just like, improv is just about being and thinking like, well, what would I think is funny? How would I act in this scenario? And when you do that, the audience goes, I would act like that too.
Right.
Because he's really acting genuinely. If someone comes in with a big thing that's weird, if I don't call it out or at least like register it and justify it, then the audience is like, well, now there's no reality, because I don't know, because I would be like, oh, the building's on fire. Why isn't he doing anything about it? You know what I mean?
Yes.
There's a disconnect because we get in our head, we think, oh, we want to do improv right and correct and always say yes to this idea. But you can say no to an idea by still saying yes to it.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's the equivalent of what we were saying about, like, in Jiu Jitsu, somebody gives you an arm.
Yeah.
Pay attention.
Yeah.
Somebody just gave you an arm.
Like, oh, I got this offer. I'm going to hold on to it. I'm going to yes and it. It's like, oh, I got a straight arm lock now? Cool. I didn't think I had this, but here. And I found myself in that a ton. Where it's like, we're rolling, where there's a dog fight, and all of a sudden I've got something. I'm like, oh,
I found it.
I have a straight arm lock. And it's not locked in yet, but it's close. And I just need to hold on to it and make sure that I've got this, and then I can feel them go, oh fuck, he's got the straight arm, and then it's and in that kind of communication is happening in a split second, right? You know, we're making those decisions like fast and in real time, and that's and if I hadn't been paying attention, if I've been trying to do something else, then that I would have missed that. I probably would have let it go, right? So it's just being in the moment.
Being in the moment. I think that's a good point. And
Good point.
Yeah,
Good point.
And
We'll take it back to it. Yeah,
a good place
being
to,
in the moment.
Yeah, being in the moment, and a good place to stop, because you've been talking for a little bit. And so, how about this? Tell us where you are performing. Tell us where we can reach you, your socials and things like that, and we'll wrap up there.
Oh man, so much. So Orlando, Florida. I'm in Orlando.
You just find them
currently
around town.
Yeah, just wandering around. I perform at SAC Comedy Lab downtown a lot, which is
Nice.
improv theater. Great, check it out. SAC.com, I believe. I'm there
Good
off
name.
and on. All my socials are at DK Reinermer, Reinemer. And I have a Patreon page, which I'm it's
Naked?
been no nudes yet, but if you make an offer. No, I have videos and
OnlyFans?
stuff, YouTube. I thought about it. I've actually thought about it. I did a one-man show called Becoming Magic Mike, an action adventure comedy. And I toured this to a lot of fringe festivals. It was across North America. It was an hour-long one-man Magic Mike parody mashed up with like action movies. So it's fucking hilarious. It's on YouTube, but it is me playing all the characters and doing a Magic Mike action movie parody.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
That
you'd
sounds
be
fun.
surprised. Yeah, watch it.
What's
And
it
that's
called?
on YouTube. It's called Becoming Magic Mike, an action adventure comedy.
Okay, cool.
And I might do it at some point live again here in Orlando. And that was just a side note. Yeah. So DK Reinermer, find me. I'm out there.
Yeah,
YouTube.
you're doing your
I
thing.
got dumb stuff. Yeah. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Andy taught me this. So you don't shake hard in Asian culture and martial arts. You do very gentle.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Gentle.
then I do this. Okay.
Yeah. Because you don't have to show your
Neither of
strength.
us
You know?
are. Yeah. Asian, but
Yeah.
Thanks, Andy.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
First talk. Okay, dude, you ready for some Indian food? Because
Oh,
I am
man.
starving.
Yeah.